It's time to learn about conjunctions. You know that there are 8 parts of speech and every word in a sentence is acting as one of these 8 parts of speech. Conjunction is one of the 8, and conjunctions connect 2 or more words, phrases, or clauses. There are 3 types of conjunctions. There are coordinating conjunctions, there are subordinating conjunctions, and there are correlative conjunctions. In this presentation, we're going to focus on coordinating conjunctions. Coordinating conjunctions always connect elements of the same kind. Here are some examples. In this example, ran and played. The coordinating conjunction and is connecting the 2 words ran and played, and those 2 words are both verbs. So those 2 words are the same kind of word, right? They're both verbs. Kathy or Dan. Kathy and Dan are both nouns, and the coordinating conjunction or is connecting the 2 nouns. Again, they are the same kind of word. Quickly yet carefully is another example, only those 2 are adverbs and the coordinating conjunction yet is connecting 2 of the same kind of word. Here are some examples with not words, but in this case phrases: in the house or around the shed. 2 prepositional phrases. This coordinating conjunction or is connecting 2 phrases, and they're both prepositional phrases, again the same kind. And the same is true for this one. 2 sentences. He was tired, but he didn't go to sleep. Coordinating conjunction but is connecting 2 full sentences. He didn't go to sleep could be a sentence on its own. He was tired could also be a sentence on its own, and the coordinating conjunction but is connecting those 2 sentences or clauses and making them one sentence. Okay, so this would be a good slide for you to write in your notebook. So you should pause the presentation now and then write this information down under coordinating conjunctions in a set of notes in your notebook, and then restart the presentation to continue. There are only 7 coordinating conjunctions, okay? Those are for, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. And a lot of people use this term fanboys to remember them. F for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. Okay, you should definitely memorize these 7 coordinating conjunctions. These need to be memorized as soon as possible: for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so, and use fanboys if that will help you to remember them. Again, you should write these down in your notebook, so this would be a good time to pause and copy this slide down into your notebook. So diagramming coordinating conjunctions, as you can see, coordinating conjunctions do a lot of different things. Later on, we will talk about connecting adjectives, connecting adverbs, connecting prepositional phrases, and connecting sentences. We're going to save that for later. Today, we're going to focus on connecting subjects, verbs, and direct objects. So an example of 2 subjects connected would be in a sentence like cats and dogs play. An example of 2 verbs connected would be frogs hop and jump, and 2 direct objects would be something like we ate apples and carrots. Okay, this is what we're going to focus on in today's lessons: diagramming subjects, verbs, and direct objects that are connected by coordinating conjunctions. All right, one more thing you need to know, and you should write this slide down also in your notes. When 2 elements are connected by a coordinating conjunction, we call them compound. You have probably heard this before. You've heard of compound sentences, I'm sure. So this is why we call them compound. If you have 2 or more subjects connected by a coordinating conjunction, you have a compound subject. If you have 2 or more verbs connected by coordinating conjunctions, you have a compound verb. And the same with sentences. 2 or more sentences connected by a coordinating conjunction is called a compound sentence. So now we're going to look at how to diagram sentences that have a compound subject, a compound verb, and a compound direct object. Okay, we're going to start with compound subject. You should pause this presentation and write this slide down in your notes as well. This is the directions on how to diagram coordinating conjunctions that join subjects, verbs, and direct objects. Okay, so to diagram coordinating conjunctions that join subjects, verbs, and direct objects, you're going to put the conjunction on a dotted line that is vertical, meaning straight up and down. That vertical line is going to go between the two elements that the conjunction is joining. Now that probably meant nothing to you, so let's actually look at an example. In this example, we're going to look at compound subjects. Okay? Here's an example of a sentence that has a compound subject. Cats and dogs play. So we have one verb, two subjects, cats and dogs. Right? How do we diagram that? We'll start with the T, right? We always start with the T, and we know that the subject typically goes on the left-hand side of the T and the verb goes on the right. Since the verb is nice and simple, we'll go ahead and put that in, verb. But how do we diagram a sentence if we have two subjects? Well, we have to split this line in two so that we have a place for both the subjects that are in the sentence. So we'll have two lines for subject. One will go here and one will go here, all right? And then we're going to connect those two subjects with a dotted line, and the conjunction is going to go on that dotted line. So in the case of cats and dogs play, it'll look something like this. You're going to draw the two lines. We're going to have cats and dogs. Connect those two lines. Draw your T. Add your verb, play. And then connect the cat and the dog, the two subjects, with a dotted line. And then add the coordinating conjunction and. So now this is how you diagram a sentence with a compound subject, meaning two or more subjects. Cats and dogs play. Okay? So you try this one. This is a compound subject sentence. Try to diagram this. Boys and girls learn. So go ahead, pause the presentation. Try to diagram that one on your own in your notebook. See if you've got the diagramming down. If you don't, you can always rewind and look at the last slide. Give this a try. When you're finished, you can start the presentation again and get the answer. Okay, so here's the answer. Diagramming the sentence with two subjects. We need two lines, one for boys and one for girls. Okay, so then we're going to connect those two lines and draw our T. Boys, one of the subjects is going to go here on this first line. Girls is going to go down on this second line. We're going to connect boys and girls with the coordinating conjunction and then we're going to add our verb. Boys and girls learn. Okay, so hopefully you did that okay. If not, you can again rewind, listen again. If it still doesn't make sense to you, please write down some questions to ask in class. We're going to move on now. Now we're going to talk about compound verbs. An example of a sentence with a compound verb would be frogs hop and jump. So in this case, we have one subject, and this time the one subject is doing two actions, hopping and jumping. So how would we diagram that? Well, we need two lines for verbs, hop and jump, and then we're going to connect them over this way and make our T and add our subject. Add that dotted line for the conjunction and put the conjunction on that dotted line. So this time we still have our T, we always have our T, but this time the verb half of the T needs to be divided into two because we have two verbs. Okay, so what does that look like with frogs, hop, and jump? Draw our T, split the verb side, so we have two lines. We put frogs in the subject spot. We put hop in one of the places for a verb. We put jump in the other place. Add our dotted line and add our conjunction and now we have frogs, hop, and jump. Okay, and this shows you that the frogs are doing both of these actions and the actions are connected by coordinating conjunction. Next, we're going to try compound direct objects. Okay, so compound direct, an example of a sentence with a compound direct object would be, we like cookies and chocolate. So we have our subject, we. What are we doing? We like, so that's our verb. What do we like? Cookies, direct object, and chocolate. So in this case, we have two direct objects, two nouns that are receiving the action of liking. Okay? So how will we diagram a sentence with two direct objects, very similar to what we've already been doing. Start with our T, put our subject on the right as always, put our verb on the left as always, and in this case we only have one subject and one verb, we like, and now we have to add that new vertical line, and this is where we make the split because there are two direct objects. So we have two lines, one for the first direct object, the other for the second, and then draw that dotted line and connect the two direct objects with the conjunction. So for we like cookies and chocolate, it'll look like this. Draw the T, we is the subject, like is the verb, draw the new vertical line, split the line into two so that we have one line for cookies and one line for chocolate, and then add the dotted line and then put in your conjunction and. So we have we like cookies and chocolate. Subject, verb, compound direct object, cookies, chocolate, two direct objects connected by a conjunction, coordinating conjunction. Okay? I have a slide that's coming up next with a little bit more complicated sentence for you to try to diagram, because remember that any of these parts of speech can be modified. So you could have, an adjective modifying we, you can have adverb modifying like, you could have an adjective modifying cookies, and you can have an adjective modifying chocolate. You could also have prepositional phrases modifying any of those words. We've kept the modifiers out just to make sure that the diagram stays simple, but sentences can have, like for example, it could say we really like cookies and chocolate, and then really would be modifying like. Or we could have we like cookies and lots of chocolate, and then lots would be modifying chocolate. So you can always have modifiers or descriptive words and descriptive phrases describing any of those parts. So keep that in mind. So here is a sentence for you to try. The new student at Ryukyu will take applied tech or computer apps. Go ahead and pause the presentation. Try to diagram this one. When you think you're ready, start the presentation again and I'll put the answer up. Here's the answer. Start with your T. We're going to put student, that's our subject. Will take, that's our verb. We're going to put our new vertical line and we're going to split the line because we have two direct objects, applied tech or computer apps. So we'll draw two lines, one for applied tech, the other for computer apps. Those two direct objects are connected by coordinating conjunction, so we're going to draw a dotted line and add our coordinating conjunction. Now we can go back through and add our modifiers. The new, both of those words are telling you more about student, so the will diagram off of student, new will diagram off of student, and at Ryukyu is a prepositional phrase telling you again more about student. Which student will take applied tech or computer apps? The new student at Ryukyu, okay? So the student is at Ryukyu, okay? And that is how you diagram that sentence. We have two adjectives, we have an adjectival prepositional phrase, we have a verb phrase, we have a compound direct object connected by a coordinating conjunction. Okay, so that's all for this presentation. When you come to class after the Thanksgiving break on Monday, we are going to have exercises that you will do in class and then turn them in when you're finished in class. Okay, hope that all made sense. If not, rewind and write down any questions and I will hopefully be able to answer them when I see you again next week. All right, hope you're having a great Thanksgiving break.